So this is the deal. You're midway through making your Caretaker inspired fan project / tribute, and you're now starting to work on your project's equivalent of the post-awareness stages, and you really want to pull off some of that glitchy sample manipulation that is all throughout stages 4 and 5, but you don't know where to start. Well, first off, I want to congratulate you on making it past downloading well-quality pre-World War II ballroom music, slowing it down, drenching it in reverb, and adding isotope vinyl, because Leland Kirby's production really stretched its legs through the project's second half. In this video, I'll be using FL Studio, stock plugins, and a couple of free VSTs. So first off, you want to choose the sample that you want to riddle with a neurological disease, and in my case, it's Good Night My Beautiful, performed by Russ Morgan and his orchestra. And this is actually the sample that's used for Back There Benjamin and Libet's Delay. For our purposes, we don't need a very long sample length. We just want to cut like at least 2 parts of it. So for example, I'm going to cut this intro section. And then the next section that I'm going to cut is going to be the part that is actually used as the intro in Back There Benjamin, which is around here. So now that you have your samples, you want to consolidate them so they're both separate audio clips. So now that we have our samples ready, we can open up an instance of Vital. And because we're not going to be using any of the oscillators, we can go ahead and disable the first oscillator and just enable the sampler, which is what we're really after. I'm also going to go ahead and turn down all the voices to just 1. It will come in use later. So now that that's done, we can go ahead and open the sample that you want to first import first. And in my case, I think it's going to be this. You can just drag and drop it into this section down here. Now the cool thing about Vital is that it has like a randomized starting position playback for the sample. So by default, if you just mash on your keyboard, it's going to be like this. But if we enable this, it's going to start at a completely randomized position. Which is very useful in our case. I'll pitch this down by about 2 octaves maybe, and turn up the level a bit. So we're kind of getting there, but we need to do a bit of cleanup. I'm gonna enable a bit of compression, turn down the mix about by 50%. Also, I'll just enable the filter. So that I can get a bit of a high pass going. Now, originally, it was going to be a bit more complicated because I was going to look after some like node randomization techniques, if there are any, but I found it easier to just record just random keyboard mashing, so you can just go ahead and do that. Our first pattern is ready, and it's about as messy as it can get, but it doesn't really have any impact. We just need some random node playback. Now, this is not going to be the only instance of Vital that we'll be using in this project. We'll be using 4 of them. They'll be separated in 2 groups. The first group is going to cover the lower end of the spectrum, and the second one is going to cover the higher end. So I'm going to go ahead and clone this, and I'll assign them to different mixer tracks. So for Vital Instance 1, I'll pan it about 50% to the left, and for Vital Instance 2, I'll pan it about 50 to the right. Now, because I'm lazy, I'm actually just going to copy this node pattern, create a new pattern, and then open up the second Vital Instance and paste the node pattern. But I want it to sound a bit different, so I'm just going to mirror. Alright, so we're kind of getting there, which is good, but there's still a bit more that I want to do. I'm gonna route these to one mixer track here, and then to maybe another one here. And the second one that I've created, I'm gonna add PaulXStretch, which is a VST version of PaulXStretch. I'm actually gonna turn this down a bit because it gets really loud. And then I'll play this and hit capture. So now that I've stopped the capture, the VST is gonna play back PaulXStretched version of what I've just recorded. There are a couple of parameters you can play around here. I'm just gonna fiddle around with the stretch amount and some frequency shifting. Alright, so now we can begin working on the second group of vitals. I actually should name these. Alright, they're all renamed and assigned to new mixer tracks. Now it's time to import the other sample that I've recorded. Now I'm going to go ahead and record another note pattern. Also for these high ones, I'm actually going to turn up the compressor all the way up. Alright, that's pretty cool, but I want to add a bit of processing to those, to that second group of vitals. So I'm going to create a new mixer track to route those to other mixer tracks too. And I'm going to add some EQ to soften up the walls, along with some transient processing. Actually, maybe I should pitch these, the second group of vitals, 1 octave up and see how that might sound. Okay, pretty cool. Now I'm gonna work a bit on the master track because it's lacking that vinyl crackle. For the crackle, I'm gonna use a couple of recordings that I've done myself of some dead wax. In terms of the master, I'm gonna first off add some mid-side EQ because I feel like it balances the sound a bit more. So you just open a patcher and then select the mid-side preset, which is under the compression category. And then I'm gonna add a parametric EQ to the side output. Now it's not gonna visualize anything, but it does work. I'm just gonna do a little cutoff. Then I'm going to add a CHOW tape model, which is a free tape simulator VST, which is quite nice. I'm going to increase the input gain a bit, add a bit of saturation and bias. And finally I'm gonna do a bit of EQ. So yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope this is of some use to some of you people out there making your own neurological disease-inspired projects. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope this was useful to you, and take care.